guys, this is Bryde. So, nobody seems to get this box here, and I can totally understand that. You really have to think outside of the box to understand the box. You see, you've probably already seen other Voxel libraries that does not actually fall far from this one, but mine is just set up a bit differently than most others. You have probably seen a collection of boxes like these here, which also helps indicate a lot of positions, but it's just in a different manner than the one I'm using. Anyways, I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about this, but I'm just gonna blabber ahead, and you'll see if you pick anything up, and if not, yeah, I'm afraid it's just really hard to explain. So you really need your mind to wrap around it before you really grasp it. But to understand this, you will have to understand reactor first, and this is a reactor, and it's used to manipulate a voxel into a shape. So if you have the center voxel here, this is the one we want to use for stuff, and the voxels around it are only here to you know, deform the voxel in the center. It probably doesn't make any sense, but you see, I can manipulate this voxel by replacing some of the corners out here. So let me just make a quick so as you see, the center voxel is now this big. This is just one voxel, and it's because the corners have been stretched. And you see, it's now possible to put it together without deforming anything if you leave you know, a space of air between the two voxels. But you see, I made this square here. If I took each of these positions, I would get different kind of sizes of boxes. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how am I going to go about this. Let's grab another reactor. So what you will need to understand is, you can stretch a corner like the corner and the voxel down here. You can stretch it all the way so that it extends all the way out here. That means it can get 1.25 voxels wider than it is right now. Or is it 1.5? I can't actually remember. It's 1.5, I see. So that means that we can extend this voxel here 1.5 this direction and 1.5 this direction. Yeah, and we can do that in all directions. That will make it to a 4 voxel wide voxel that has only you know, it still only occupies this one voxel space, so the rest is just trickery, you know. Yeah. This means that if you look at the points of the gray voxels here, you will see it has been stretched outside of the box. This is the what is it called? Yeah, this is like the, if you use this piece here, you will make the largest box available. As you see, when I step to the side here, the gray point will move 0.25 voxels width for each step I move over. So you see here it's aligned to the side of the voxel. See, and then it moves a bit. Here it's in the middle of the center of the voxel. A bit to the right of it, and so on and so forth, until it again extends outside of the voxel. And you can do the same by going up. It will move 0.25 steps for each voxel layer you go higher in the system. And the same if you go in the depth, you will move, as you see here, the points are moving for each step we move over. You will notice that this line here has a bit different color, and it's just to indicate that it's the center of the voxels. And the same with this line here is the center of the voxel. So we have this center, and this center, and this center. Now, let's just have a look at this again. So, what this system here does is define all the points around the center voxel. All these points out here, and out here. Yeah, and others as well. But furthermore, we can even make it extend all the way to the center of this row here. That means if we want to pull this voxel all the way out here, we need to use one of the white corners from this row here. Not that row particularly, but this entire row. That entire row, and actually the one besides it, because it's only 0.25 steps. As you see, it's the tip is not aligned with the side, but it is here at the point. That means that these two rows here all indicate the positions that correspond to what can be inside of this area here. I hope that makes sense to you. That means that if I move this one over here, because each row, what's it called, corresponds to 0.25 voxels width, that means that there can be 4 rows in this one, or actually 5. The one aligned to the side of this voxel here, then 0.25 step in, and the center 0.25 again, and then aligned to the side. This area here corresponds to these voxels here. So as you see, this one is aligned to the side here and moved 0.25 steps in here. Center of the voxel 0.25 and aligned to the side, corresponding to this. That means that if we move it over here, it do again, you have a look, and it can correspond to 5 different positions: the 2 sides, the center, and the center of the 2. Yeah, you know what I mean. And that corresponds. This is the center. You can see it with the black color. That's the exact center of this one. So that's these 5 rows here. Now, what I could have done, let me start over. If I take this corner here, I'm forced to use it in this exact corner. Why didn't it pull it? Oh, it did. Because if I try to place it in any of the other corners, let's just have a look at the piece here. You can see it's only, all the corners are intact on this voxel here, except for one. And it needs to be the one that has been, manipulated, that touches the center voxel, and nothing will happen. So if I place it here or any of the other positions, it will do nothing. Only this one, because it has the manipulated corner. That means if I want to use it in any of the other places, I need to rotate and mirror, or just rotate depending on which position you will have to you want to place it in. But this is what I mean. It's really tough to explain how you need to use this system. But again, it's all about imagining. Let's say we want this corner corresponding to this small corner here from the center voxel. We want to pull it to some coordinate in this area here. Then we have to envision what part do we need to pull it to this area here, and we can't just find it based on where the system is, because it's not in the right corner, if you know what I mean. So if I just take and copy this and turn it around like this, then we have the right corner, as you see. It was this corner up here that we wanted a position in this area here with, but since we've turned it, we now want a position in this area here. So we want to change that voxel so that it stretches this corner into this area here. So as we see, we want a coordinate from the center area, and that was in this area here. And then we have a look, and we wanted, if you look at the rows, and that's not, yeah, that's the rows. We want from the bottom row here, that means every point that extends outside of this voxel line here. And we just go here and look, and we can see that everything below this row here extends outside of the voxel line. So now we know that we need on a voxel from the lower area and from the center area here. Now we need to know how deep we want to go in the system to find a position that matches what we want. So we look at it from the depth, and we can see we want a position that extends outside of this voxel here. So we go to the side and have a look, and we can see that everything from this row and this way extends outside of the voxel. That means we have narrowed it down to an area that corresponds to these voxels here. So if I just copy these out and paste them here, you can see that no matter which of these points I take, they will pull it to a coordination in this box area down here. Let's just take one as an example. This is just a random one, but as you see, it's pulling it down there. So I hope this makes you understand the system a bit better. Let's just take another example. So let's redo this one. If we wanted instead to pull the point, let's say we want a bit of a different direction this time, and now we want something from, or rather we want to pull this corner in down here to this area up here. So again, we look at it from the front and we can see it's in the center area corresponding to these 5 rows. And we wanted, it was this here, so now we want to find a coordinate that is within this voxel range, and that means we have to go to tab and have a look. And as you see, if we just place the selection tool, this one could move. Great. There we go. That's all. There we go. As you see, it you have to envision that this is the voxel above it. So that means everything from here on and up is inside of that area. Let's just, so now we've narrowed it down to this area here. This is when we go to have a look at it from the side. And again, we wanted the voxel just above this one. So when we look at it from the side, we see we want it from the center area, as well as the center area, and then the one voxel above. So it's these 5 here, and then we narrowed it down to the other 3 rows. And we can see from the side that we wanted, this is the center, they're a little bit black, we wanted from the center piece as well, so that was so that means any one of these voxels up here corresponds to this area up here for this voxel. So when we take one of these, it will extend it up there. So by having a look at it like this, you are able to, analyze what parts you need. Another great thing with these reactors is you can put any given voxel inside of it to try and understand how the voxel is made. So if you take one of these voxels here, like if you were wondering how this piece is made, then you can just plug it inside one of these. have a, and you can see exactly how it's made. So, as you see, there are some gaps in the system here and there, and that's simply because I haven't found all the pieces I need for the system yet. But I've kind of given up finishing it because we've been announced that a Voxel editor is coming. So this will be a whole lot easier when you can just grab a corner in this editor and just pull it around. That will come in time, but until then you can use a system like this. And then when you see a system with boxes, it's practically the same system. It's just set up in a completely different way. I know that Fugazi and Draco and everyone's got a similar system to this. They just have another approach to it. So you might like one of the other systems better when you get to wrap your mind around it. Last thing to understand is when you're looking at this one, you're not actually seeing 9 voxels. Let me just... These are not 9 voxels. This is 27 voxels, because you have to take the air voxels into account. Even though you don't see them, those are voxels as well. So when you change the shape of like this one here, you have changed the air as well. I don't know why I explained that, but in many situations that's a good thing to know. Yeah. Well, you can have a look at my shingles tutorial. That might make a bit more sense after this, but I'm not sure I can explain it much better. I hope you got a more basic understanding of it now. Yeah. That's it. Bye guys.